Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on Saturday. What day is it? Is it the 10th? It's beautiful out. It's breezy. It's not too hot. It's not too humid. It's absolutely a perfect day. And I don't forgive the criminals for interfering with my camera. Look at that. That's my outbuilding, by the way, folks. Because I have an outbuilding the former owner built. I'll show you what he had on the outbuilding. Well, actually had a whole bunch of stuff on here. So we've got this cute little sign here. A restroom, 10 cents. No soliciting. He also had a witch. He had a witch on the door here. A watch for low-flying witches. And of course, last year when I had it on another building, the sheriff pointed to it and said, "Oh, is that your sign?" I said, "Well, no, the former owner left that here. I think it's really cute." But anyway, I wanted to bring you some news. I have not validated it. The name sounds familiar to me. I received a notification that a targeted person named Robert Stanson, S-O-M or S-E-M, has passed away. I received this notification about 2 days ago from a subscriber. If anybody knows who he is, please leave a comment down below. What state he lived in, perhaps how old he was, etc. If anybody knows any information about him, please let me know. Once again, the name does sound familiar to me. I don't know if I have contact with him or if he's on my mailing list, etc. What were the other things? Yes. Okay, so I've received some comments, and that's okay. I want your questions, I want your comments and stuff when I speak about the Freemasons. Okay, first of all, why do they call them free? Masons, they were builders. They were like the master builders and stuff, and that's what they do. That's why when you have paver stones installed, it's called masonry. And back in the day, it was built by the Masons. Where the free came from, I have no idea. If you know where the free came from, please let me know. I have my own interpretation of what the free means. It means free from guilt. Okay? Free from guilt, free from persecution, free from morals, decency, values, and free from criminal prosecution. That's the way I see it. Also, the former owner of this property, when he passed away in July of 2018, he passed away from pneumonia, of all things, in the middle of July. It was because there was black mold in his mobile home trailer. While I was cleaning out that mobile home trailer when I moved here, and by the way, I had to sign a legal document declaring that I would not live in that mobile home, that it was that bad. But it worsened while I was living here because the criminals were making it worse. The criminals were destroying that home, and I believe that they were doing it to the former owner to kick him out because he wouldn't die. He was healthy. He was so healthy. He was so good. He was 96 years old, and he probably could have lived to 105. He even experienced a heart attack years before and went on to continue building and taking care of all this property. And honestly, folks, I don't know how he had a heart attack. I am now suspect. I am suspect that he was not harassed unmercifully, and he just didn't give up. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why in a minute. I know for a fact that he complained to the sheriff's department about people hanging out on his property and vandalizing and stealing from him. He made sure to not screw things into the side of his buildings, but he nailed them in, which made it very difficult, very, very, very difficult to remove items. I even had difficulty removing things that I wanted removed, let alone things that other people might want, but just impossible. So these are my guys over here. They're taking dust baths, and I apologize for the horrible. It wasn't even like this the last time I used it. It was really bad. So they used this little area here to dust bath. They just, oh, look at them. They're like in a cloud of dust like Pigpen, right? They just shake off the dust everywhere, the dirt. But anyway, I believe, and I haven't confirmed, that the former owner may have been a Mason. And when I say Mason, I mean like a lower level, not like the 33, the 32, the 30s up there. I'm not talking about the ones that perform sacrifices and rituals and stuff. I think he was like the good guy that marched in the local parade and may have donated money and the Shriners and all that stuff. All the lower level good stuff that they're duped into believing is what it's really about, you know, the membership and stuff. And the reason I believe this to be true, and I haven't read any documents that he's written to this, but I did find Eastern Star membership cards inside of the mobile home trailer. Yes, Eastern Star is the female version of the Masons, and there were photos of women. I should have kept it. As soon as I saw it, I got rid of it. I don't remember if I burned it or if I threw it away. My birds are going crazy here. Something horrible happened this morning. A red fox, who is well known around here, who I shoo away often because I find him eating the cat food. Well, this morning he decided he did not want cat food. He decided that he snuck up. He snuck up on one of my guineas and got one of my white guineas. It's heartbreaking to see it. I heard the cackling outside. First, anybody that has chickens know that they will form this whole cackle fest when a hen is laying an egg. It's almost like, you know, during the birthing process, to ease the pain of like a mom cat giving birth, all the cats will circle around her and purr. And the purr has a healing frequency. Well, what the birds do, what the chickens do, and even the roosters, when a hen or two is laying an egg, I guess it's got to be painful, folks. You got to see some of the sizes of these eggs that pop out of that little teeny hole. But they start to cackle. They cackle like in synchronicity, all of them together. So I heard this cackling and I just assumed that somebody was laying an egg. But then the guineas chimed in. So I walk out of my house, I see guineas flying over the property in trees and stuff, and I follow what's going on, and I see a red fox splitting from my property. I immediately scream at him. I start clapping my hands. I yell the word boom, and he splits. I've seen him before. This is now the fourth time. But before he left, I did not see any bird in his mouth. But I did find some remains of a guinea behind their building, which was really disturbing. So I've had a lot of loss this week, folks. So it's very hard to deal with. It's bad enough when nature does it. When the criminals are on the property intentionally doing this stuff, it's really disturbing. Okay, that's the number, let's see, 2 on my list. I went on to the Muck Rock today. And the only reason I did was because when I was active on Muck Rock and filing FOIA requests, I obviously did a lot of research on Muck Rock about other people and the way they filed FOIA requests. Period. The reason is because if anybody files a request, you can mirror it. So you can clone it. They call it cloning. I call it mirroring. But you can clone it, meaning you click on clone at the top of the screen, and it will automatically populate into a new document for your state, for you, to edit. So you don't have to retype all this stuff. And then you can also bookmark other people's FOIA requests. So I've obviously bookmarked a lot of people's FOIA requests. And what happens is when there is an update to the bookmark FOIA, you get a notification. So I received a notification today on a woman who started filing her requests in 2017 and 19 about gang stalking. That's right, folks, gang stalking. So on the 8th, she received a response about gang stalking. Of course, I downloaded it. I'm printing it out, and I will read more of it to you later. And what it was that she filed a complaint, an incident report with her local police department, that she knew for a fact that her neighbors received letters by an unknown person with a photo of her driveway, a photo of her, alerting the neighbors about this horrific person. Yes, folks, evidence. Evidence. Every once in a while, these creatures screw up. So I have a copy of that incident report. I'm going to read it to you later when I have some time. Okay, my guineas are freaking out now up here. 1 second. Let's see what's going on. What's going on, guys? Is the fox up there? Okay, now they stopped. No fox? Okay. So, yes, I will be reading that to you later. So, every once in a while, you know, there are good departments out there. I remember years ago, there was a sheriff's department that got on the air and rebuked gang stalking. He was not going to allow his department, his office, or his guys to engage in gang stalking. It was probably wiped from the internet. I don't know if I could find it again. But yeah, so there was one sheriff's department in the middle of the USA who on the air said that he will not engage in gang stalking. He put out actually a memo. So there are some good ones out there. I can't say that they're around here, folks. What was the other thing? I will be reading that 4-page document compiled by a targeted woman. I will not disclose her name. She is very interested in your feedback. I printed it out so that I could read it out here rather than from my computer, which is really difficult and dark inside the house. And I will post that later. I was going to do it last night, but I was so physically and emotionally exhausted. I laid down on my bed just to take a nap for like an hour. And that was around midnight. Guess what time I woke up? 5:30 a.m. I figured, okay, I'm not getting up at 5:30 a.m. It's dark. It's, you know, there's still animals outside at 5:30 a.m. I'm going to go lie down in bed until my alarm goes off, which is exactly what I did. I went back to sleep until my alarm went off, and then I got up. And it is a beautiful day, folks. But even though for the last 3 days, and this is for the record, I have been radiated in my internal organs. This is something that they started doing about a year ago and then stopped. And then they switched to my legs, which is every day. Every night when I go to sleep and then wake up, the temperature on my legs and feet go from like in the 70s and 80s to 96, 97 degrees upon waking. They are being radiated. They feel they're vibrating. When I get out of bed, it almost feels it's like I can't stand up because they're vibrating. You know, like you feel like you're on like shady ground. And this is being done to me. This is not my natural, healthy body. And as I mentioned, when I moved from New Jersey to Kentucky, I guess it took time for them to set up. And for the 6 weeks that I was living in my car, my health just totally improved back to my normal, healthy self. My vision went back to its usual, 100, 20/20 or whatever it is. My vision reverted back to its usual self where I did not need glasses to read. For those 6 weeks, the entire 6 weeks, my hair grew back. My energy level was through the roof. There were no vibrations on my legs, and I did not feel like I was microwaved during the night. Several weeks into that, though, I did wake up with a needle mark in my right arm. So somebody had entered my vehicle and either took blood or injected me with something. And that was inside of my car, and I slept with my cat during that time. So how they did it, I don't know. You tell me. Without letting him out of the car. It's very possible that they did it very quickly and he would not leave the car. He might have even hidden. And I want to say something else about the Masons, okay? When I lived in New Jersey, I knew nothing about them. All I knew was that they had these little symbols. I always saw the symbols on their windshield, the car windshield. A lot of them, all kinds of stars and triangles. I had no idea what it was. And then I remember looking it up and thinking, oh, it's a fraternity, some fraternity. It's some club, it's some fraternity. Knew nothing else about it. I remember asking an attorney that I had. Actually, I'm not going to say more about it, but he was like one of the best attorneys I have ever had in my life. He was honest. He was so helpful. He would send me articles because he knew I was, pro se in this other portion of the lawsuit. And he was just amazing. And I noticed he was wearing a ring, not just his wedding ring. And I said, are you a Mason? He said, yes, I am. And he told me a little bit about it and stuff. And I just thought, okay, this is like one of the nicest lawyers I have ever met in my life. He's like a great guy, and he's a Mason. He's not like those other people, right? And then, and this is even before that, I think I mentioned that I had a real stalker. This is a guy I dated like three times, and he would not leave me alone. He would harass my daughter. He would show up at my gym. He would headlight me. He would show up at my house. He was like relentless. He was like a real creepy stalker, right? Emails. Well, we know about the creepy stalkers, but this was in real life. Somebody I knew. I didn't really know him, obviously, but somebody I had met in person. I had a restraining order against him that he violated every year, whatever. But when I filed the original report, the officer at the time who took the report, and I'm just going to say this once because I don't need the Bible people getting on my case about this, okay? I'm not a religious person, but I'm a spiritual person. And there is a master of the universe. There is a God. I'm not going to go into all of my beliefs. It's really nobody's business. But, so I'm sitting in front of this police officer who's really nice. And this was in Freehold, not Manalapan. I actually went to Manalapan, and they would not take my report. I'm going to say that for the record. I lived down the block from Manalapan Police Department, and they would not take my report. So I went to Freehold. I filed a report there. And I live in Manalapan, by the way. I lived in Manalapan, but they wouldn't take my report. And this was the nicest officer. He was handsome. He was sweet. He was kind of guiding me into what to write. And I was like upset beyond belief. And then he looked at my necklace. He said, what's that necklace you're wearing? I said, it's just, it's a symbol. It's just, it's like an infinity. So he says, I know what it is. And I didn't think anything else of it any time until recently. Not until recently. Because even back then, I didn't know what the meaning other people attributed to my unicursal hexagram. Okay, I'm just going to say it outright. It's a unicursal hexagram made by a designer now who has subsequently passed, who is extremely well known in the metaphysical community. And the reason I bought it was for the symbolism, which was like an infinity, and it had my birthstone on it, right? So, and it's beautiful. And I wore it all the time. It was like a symbol of protection, okay? So anyway, he obviously knew what it meant. He obviously attributed a different meaning to it than what I thought it to be. Okay? And it was almost like at that moment I had some kind of affinity to his belief system because he imbued something upon me that I didn't even know. pendant was symbolic of, to me, it was symbolic of protection. It was symbolic of my birth date. It was symbolic of this beautiful piece of art. It was symbolic of infinity, because there is no beginning and there is no end, right? It's only now, within the last few months, that I realized that that officer was a Mason. He has subsequently been promoted, and all of that stuff, but I believe that he helped me so much. He went above and beyond. He testified in person for me. And then when the idiot kept taking me back to court, he testified via phone. Even his busy schedule, he did that on my behalf. I think it had a lot to do with not only his integrity. He was integrous, obviously got promoted and stuff, but there was something about that necklace that led him to believe I was one of them. I'm just going to say that. Just going to say it for the record. And you leave your questions and comments down below and stuff. No, I do not wear. You're going to ask me. I don't wear the necklace anymore. The person who designed that necklace has passed away. And he was, like I said, very famous in the metaphysical community in designing jewelry. Beautiful, beautiful jewelry. Sterling silver, 14 karat gold. Just really unique designs and stuff. And you could custom make some of the jewelry with your own stone. So I had added my birthstone to mine. But anyway, that is my experience with Freemasonry or Masons. The guys that build the paver patios and stuff like that. The guys that build with blocks. So that is my past experience with them as being great people. But I'm going to tell you one more example I have. When things were getting really bad, when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, and I wanted a hardwire security system, I noticed one that I really liked up the block. There was a convenience store that opened up on Main Street off of Tennant Road. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I'm going to tell you where it is. On Main Street in Tennant Road, convenience store, I would go in there, get a cup of coffee and a corn muffin. They had the best corn muffins. Let me tell you, the best corn muffins. So I would go in and I noticed their security system. It had a monitor. It had the little blocks on it where you could see different parts of the inside and outside of the building. So I asked her, I said, I want to install a system just like that in my house. So she gave me the name of the person. I met with him. He was a really nice guy, very nice. And he kept talking to somebody on the phone and then kind of walking away from me after he mentioned my address. And after he mentioned my address, because he did tell them this, I'm with this really nice young woman. She, wants a security system. She's got a lot of problems at her property. And then he had to walk away from me after telling them my address. And he just said he would get back to me on a price. He never did. I left several messages for him and stuff. But when this meeting with him ended, and he was a nice guy, I walked him out onto the driveway and I noticed on the windshield of his vehicle all the Masonic symbols, every one of them. And of course I had to ask him what they were. I said, oh, that's a really pretty one there. What is that? And he explained it to me. I don't remember what it was at the time. But then I took notice that these symbols are on a lot of windshields in New Jersey. A lot. Like more than what would be statistically possible. And they're obviously part of this membership, part of this fraternity. I mean, of course, now I call it a cult, because it is a cult. When you're performing rituals at the high level and you are placing people in a gangstalking program and you're doing the silent hit, the white glove treatment, and employing tactics that were used back in the ancient Masonic days, then you are engaging in a cult. One subscriber emailed me and says, well, you know, these guys, these Masons, they're mad at me because I'm exposing their secrets. I'm sorry. Is it supposed to be a secret? These are 501c3 nonprofit charities that collect memberships from their members. And I located the membership cards here when I moved here from the Eastern Star cult of women here in Jackson County, Kentucky. The former owner evidently was involved to a certain degree, but he was a great guy. Like, he was a pillar of the community. And you know, when somebody passes away and you purchase their property and they've left all their stuff behind, you learn a lot about that person. He was an amazing person. I wish I knew him in person. Remarkable. Plus, I have to tell you, when he was younger, he was gorgeous. He was absolutely a beautiful man in appearance. And in his old age, he dressed like a pin, neat as a pin. He wore a top hat on holidays and on Sundays. He wore shiny shoes, leather, beautiful shoes, a tie, a little bow tie, a jacket. He was neat as a pin. And I guarantee the criminals around here were hateful and jealous about what he had. Jealous. Because they couldn't be like him. He had the light. And you all know what I'm talking about when I talk about the light. He was a joy. And they tried to take him down by killing his wife. Thought he would crumble. Nah. Suffers a heart attack. Thought he would crumble and they could steal his property then. Nah. But they black molded his home and gave him pneumonia in the middle of July, finally. And then when I moved here, they thought that they could steal the property he owned across the street. Nah, not going to happen, folks. So, this is Lorraine Alternative Homes. I thought this was going to be like a 15-minute video, and it's turning into a half-an-hour rant. But I hope everybody is doing well on this gorgeous Saturday. My birdies are doing well, for the most part. I mean, they are getting raped on a daily basis, and that's all I can say about that. You know, roosters, look at them. This is what roosters do all day long. Although two roosters, right? Now that rooster's saying, no, 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 that's mine. Look, these two roosters. But anyway, I'm going to sign off for now because my battery is low. Talk to you soon.